You're good to go, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. The first thing we have on the agenda is the land acknowledgement statement. Do I have any volunteers? Council? Councillor Henry, please.
Augusta Township acknowledges that you live and work on ancestral territories of Indigenous people. The township recognizes all Indigenous peoples and honors their past, present, and future. The township values and respects their cultural heritages and relationship to the land.
Thank you. Okay, as far as mayor's opening remarks is, I just want to give a shout out. You might say to Public Works, the guys doing the snow removal the last few weeks. Normally, we don't have this abundance, but I hear it's going to keep up for another couple of weeks anyway. So, thank you very much. You're passing along to your staff, John.
Thank you.
Getting up at 3 a.m. and hopping in a truck, old truck, and then doing the pass. So, anyway, you guys are doing a good job.
Thank you.
So this Friday, Valentine's Day, we have council's favorite day, which is not Valentine's Day, it's budget day. So, we're gonna do that all day long. We've got some figuring out what to do there. And then we've kind of looked at what's in store for the next little while. And I think once we get the budget done, then I think we gotta look at bag tags or garbage or refuge again. So, I think we definitely have to look at that for income. And the other one is, building and property maintenance. So it's gonna be a wild ride for the next few months. So I'm just so a lot of reading, a lot of considering for council, okay? Staff has done the work on most of the issues already, so they're just kind of waiting for us. Okay. So, this is the move by Deputy Mayor Winan, seconded by Councillor Pate, be resolved that agenda for February 10th, 2025 be adopted. Does anybody have anything to add or change on the agenda? Okay, I see nothing. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have approval of the previous minutes. And moved by Councillor Pape, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans, being resolved that council approve the minutes of the January 27, 2025 council meeting as distributed to all members. Does anybody have any changes, anything to add, corrections? I see nothing. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Sorry, is Councillor Bowman on the line? Next, we have any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof at tonight's meeting. Okay, see nothing. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, nothing. Any delegations, presentations? We don't have any tonight. Correspondence and petitions. Notice of a future delegation from St. Lawrence Shakespeare. And so we got that. That's on everybody's package. And then the next we have is the growth management strategy from this sent to us from the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. Okay. Did I forget one?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, you got it. Okay. So moved by Deputy Mayor Winan, seconded by Councillor Pate, be resolved that council accept the correspondence from St. Lawrence Shakespeare Festival and the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville for information. Any comments, questions? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Yep. Next, we have reports. Committee reports. First of all, counties. Council, I went to joint services last week and I went to committee of the whole. And pretty well everything we talked about, if you looked at the Recorder Times, was posted there. So it's not much sense in me repeating it because you can just go online and look at it. But anyway, it's some of it was budget, some of it was the contract for getting the doctors in from foreign countries to work here. And that's a 2-year contract, I believe we signed. I forget the cost, I think it's cost about 186,000, which will pass down to, distributed through the counties, but, was not in our levy, so I don't know how they're doing that. So anyway, we'll have to wait and see on that one. And that's about it. All I have for the counties, unless there's any questions. Okay. Conservation Authority. Deputy Mayor?
We had a grant subcommittee meeting this morning, and in that we more or less finalized most of the stuff for the clean water program. That affects the residents in Augusta because we sign on with category 3, and that means you can get $2,000 if you need to have your septic system upgraded or replaced, and also if you need a well decommissioned, you can get up to 100% up to $1,000 grant. Those are the ones. There are other ones for farmers, which wind breaks and erosion and all that. When I get the complete list, I'll bring it, and then we can put it in our newsletter. And Rideau Valley is working on theirs, and that meeting is coming up good.
Anything else? Okay, I had a couple of things. One is I had an email from Aaron Thorne from South Nation about the flood forecast on March 6th. I think you must have been, there 600 people or so on the email list. So I imagine you got it. Are you going to attend that, or is another member of council or staff have to attend that? It's from 9:30 to 12 on Zoom.
Yeah, I got the email, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna be available that day or not.
All right, so
But otherwise, like maybe it's something that Rob can look at, or flood forecast if you're available.
Through your worship, I can take a look to see if they're available. I know I've been to 2 or 3 of them, and they're normally all, the same information. But, I have no problems. It's only a couple hours and I don't have to drive. So, because normally before you have to drive, so I've got no problems attending. I'll have to see if they're available.
anyway, the date's March 6th, 9:30 to 12, and it's the flood forecast. Aaron Thorne was the contact at South Nation.
I can send that to you.
And then next was, I guess South Nation has an honor area and you donated $300.
No, they have an honorarium.
Yeah.
I didn't donate.
The
They,
honorarium goes to you. And you said, basically, I put that money towards pitching.
Yeah.
So they'll send us a check for 300.
they'll send us down to the check for 300, but it's not through me or anything. It's just that's available to every township. So they said, what can we use it for? I said, well, we can use it for pitching.
Okay, all right. Yep,
It's right.
it's a ride. Well, thank you. Anyway, the way they worded it was
Yeah, I know.
honorarium to the directors or whatever, but, so, anyway, they call it, anyway, so, good, so we got 300 coppers in for the pitching, anyway. Thank you. Okay, recreation, did we have any meetings since the last meeting?
Yep, I had a North Augusta meeting, and what they started working on now is on Labor Day. So that was, there was a few things they're working on, like the soccer and the ball, but then the main focus of the meeting was on Labor Day, the theme that they're gonna come up with. They're gonna put it out to the public to give some suggestions, and they'll come to the top 3, and then the people can vote on it. But they also brought up the work that's been done to the hall for the lighting that Kathleen has done, so they, some of them were kind of surprised. They look exactly the same. But I mean, they're now, the new lights, they're shatterproof and they're LEDs. But they look like a fluorescent still. The only question they had was they were wondering if there's covers are coming for them.
No.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? No? Okay. Library board, Councillor Bowman's not here, but she gave us an update last time, so, yeah, she'll be back next week. Economic Development Tourism Committee, Councillor Pape.
All right, so yeah, we had, my first meeting, was on the 3rd, so just last week. Busy meeting, productive meeting, I think. We got a few things kind of hammered out. One of the new things that kind of came up, we had an email from a resident that was actually, recommending with the whole tariffs and everything, people are freaking out a bit about, fruit and vegetable pricing and, so there was some discussion online, which then was brought forward to the committee about a community garden. So we're kind of still looking into some logistics behind it, some property that we thought about. If we go through with this, would be somewhere in this vicinity. But like I said, right now, we're still kind of in the planning process around that. Also continued planning for the mayor's breakfast, which is March 28th. Now what other events, we've got the map maker is still in progress, working on the township map. There's a spring showcase coming up for the area vendors that's scheduled for the 5th of April at the Merc. So yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, it was busy, lots going on, and, hopefully we can start getting some tangible results in some of the projects that we're working on in the near future.
Good. PAC, Planning Committee, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, our planning committee was put off until next week, Wednesday, because we're waiting for some things to come in.
Okay.
So that'll be an update for our next council meeting.
Police Services Board, there's been no change, so, anyway, as soon as we have a meeting, I'll give an update, but that's not for a few weeks yet. Administration, Mr. Garrity.
No, nothing to update here. Busy with budget.
All right, staff reports. Okay, Administration and Finance, moved by Councillor Tate, second by Deputy Mayor Winans. Be resolved that council accepts report 2025-015 to approve the 2024 tax write-offs of 27 properties in the amount of $17,399.01, with the township portion being $5,597.99, and the supplemental taxes in the amount of $78,198.80 for 67 properties, with the township portion being $39,467.15. Okay, comments, questions? Yeah,
Just fairly normal. I was just, we're in an abnormal year, or is this fairly normal?
It's
That's
through the chair.
that's
I've looked back the last couple of years, so 2023. Karen might be able to back me up on this. Our subs were 76,000 was our share. 2022 supplementals were 54,100. That was our share. So I don't know if it's a COVID effect and if things are gonna kind of rebound eventually, but it was a little bit of the lower year for supplementals.
any other questions, comments? Well, bottom line out of that whole paragraph or report I just read. Is it the 39,000 that were kind of in the hole? Because I read 78,000, I read 39,000, I read
So-
5,000.
Through the chair. So we do supplementals and we have to send money to the United Counties and we have to send money to the school boards. So that's part of the requisition. And we also, for write-offs, we also have to adjust their accounts for that. So if you look at the bottom, the net effect was a surplus of $13,869.16 based on what we budgeted in 2024.
I don't even see the 13,000, sorry.
The last time.
Mine's up.
Net impact.
Oh, okay, you're reading the, all right, I was reading the other one. Sorry about that. Okay, I read it on the weekend, but when you're up here juggling papers. All right, any other questions? I'll call the question, all in favor? Good. Yep. So moved by Deputy Mayor Ryan, second by Councillor Pate, be resolved the council accept the attached statement of revenue and expenditures as of December 31st, 2024 for information. So we got the report. Does anybody have any comments, questions? None? Do Anna or Mark want to say anything about it?
Through the chair, I'll just, this is not the final figure. The auditors will audit that and it may change a little bit, but in speaking with the deputy treasurer, that it looks like we probably will come back with a slight surplus this year.
Okay. Yeah. Question, council? Okay, I'll call a question, all in favor? Carried. Operations, moved by Councillor Payne, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wyman, be resolved that council receive the facility save on energy report for information purposes. And again, we got some savings there. Any comments, questions? No? You want to say anything, Kathleen? No? You don't have to, no. You got no questions? You got no-
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I can
Okay.
cross the finish.
No, very good. All right, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Revenues, all right. Okay, building report for January, moved by Deputy Mayor Wyman, seconded by Councillor Henry. Be resolved that council received the building department activity report for January 2025 for information. It's fairly straightforward. Does anybody have any questions? Yes,
This sits lower than normal, or is it,
It's January.
I know January, there's not much goes on. I mean,
There is one that was issued in January that's not in here because it wasn't processed, but yeah.
and I know, like last year, a lot of people are waiting for the interest rates to drop. They dropped, but they're saying they're gonna drop again. People are probably still gonna wait again.
Yeah, I think so.
okay, any other comments? Or call the question, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Anybody have any notice of motions? And next we have is a bylaw. Moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wyans, be it resolved that bylaw number 3762-2025, being the bylaw to appoint a clerk for the corporation of the township of Augusta, be read a first time, second time, and a third time, and be enacted as read. Was there any comments, questions, anybody? Okay, I'll call the question, all in favor? Carried. And we have budget discussion. CAO, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I'll take the next 2 or 3 hours to kind of go over. No. I thought with being a light agenda that, you know, we could certainly just introduce council to the high level, the budget that staff and the finance has put together. Certainly, if you've seen the budget so far, the budget package, there is some challenges. Certainly, it's not the budget that I would like to present to council, but certainly due to constraints and lack of growth, it is currently where we're at today. So just so council does realize, right now, we have presented council with a 12.98% levy increase from 2024 to 2025, which works out to be a 12.33 tax rate increase, or about $177 for an average assessment of $203,000. So certainly it is, because if you tack on the county's increase as well too, that number will continue to rise. Some of the financial impacts that's brought kind of where our budget is today is We've got the new loan that we purchased, the land just west of Prescott. Our asset management reserve contributions are a percentage of our levy. Fire reserve, so as council will recall, we depleted our reserves last year to purchase the fire truck. And in good long-term planning, you always want to start putting the money back in so you can build it up so that in the next, 8 to 10 years, the fire chief can buy the new red shiny car or truck, whatever he needs. We've also, as council is aware, we have increases to health benefits and insurance, just like everything else is rising. The one thing that you will find in your package when you go to your revenue is you will see that we're not relying on reserves, reserve funds as much as we have in the past. Reason being is our reserves and reserve funds are depleting very rapidly. So now we have to turn the switch and start putting things on the tax rate to start building up our reserves again. So that's part of it that's is affecting the overall rate. As well as council will know from before, the continued phase-in assessment is not happening. We're still dealing with values from 2016, so we're not getting that growth. So in the past, where you'd have, $100,000 to $200,000 as a phase-in right off the bat, we're not seeing that. Meanwhile, that's why you're seeing a lot of municipalities have higher budgets than probably in the past. As council's aware, we've got some new staffing as far as our enforcement officer, communications, and hopefully sometime in the early next couple of months is a chief building or a deputy chief building official or a building inspector to help Karen move forward as well too. So, and then we also have some donations that we've committed to over the next 3 years, the Mapleview Lodge, Sherwood Park Manor, and then the new one just starting this year is the Prescott Family Health Team, which we are partnering with Prescott and Edwardsburg Cardinal. And then you have your CPI increase of 2.7 as well. The one thing I will note is if you look at the chart here, which is your reserves to operating expenses. So usually auditors recommend you be between 25 and 50%. And as you can see, back in 2019, we were quite high and over the years have been depleting. And as of this year, we're estimating to be about 25.7% of our operating, which is at the low end scale of where we want to be. Likely, I would like to see us around the 35%. It's probably a good number to be at. And certainly you'll see that reflected in the budget this year that we are starting to, but we're depleting a few more reserves kind of through the COVID reserves that we got before. So another thing I think to draw your attention to is anything we do with taxes, the biggest effect it has is on our residential. Our residential makes up 85% of our total assessment, which is huge. If you look around places like Edwardsburg Cardinal, South Dundas, Kingston, they have a large either commercial, large industrial class, which softens the blow when it comes to residential. So as we're looking at making increases, the biggest people affected by this is our residential properties. But certainly it's not something, I think that's something that councils realize is we need to look at bringing more industry in. We're looking at building more housing. All that will affect the bottom line and hopefully help that moving forward. And then just to kind of wrap up, and certainly I'll open it to council. So our average assessment, our average reserve contributions that we've taken since 2021 to 23 has been an average of 2.1 million. This year in our budget, we're recommending, I believe it's about 665,000 or 700,000 roughly. So we're taking a lot less, reason being we don't have it. Our CCBF OSIP allocations are not keeping up with the current inflation. So we've got a little bit of extra this year in our MPF, but it's not going in line with what you're seeing out as far as increases in costs. User fees, as the mayor alluded to at the very beginning, if we want to keep tax rates kind of at a minimum, we need to look at other creative ways to create revenue. And that's for user fees, where people who utilize the service pay for the service. So the one thing that's come to council a few times and will be coming back again is bag tags, right? That certainly could be used to offset future costs. In the budget, you'll see a cost of $150,000 for a new cell at the landfill. If we had bag tags, 4 or 5 years ago, those costs could have been absorbed by the bag tag fees. But certainly something we'll look at doing. And then we continue, I said, to, asset management is a long-term planning tool that we use to start putting money away for future purchases, such as the fire truck, that says, John and his snow plows, all that kind of stuff. So we start putting money away now for future replacement. It's a lot less on the tax rate. And then the other thing too, to note as you're looking through your budget binder is our capital spending is actually down by $934,000 year over year. So our rate's up, our capital's down. Is because we're not using as much from reserves and our operating expenses have gone up just due to the staffing and everything like that too. So, certainly wanted just to kind of bring this to council's attention as you go through it. These are the areas that you probably want to focus on. And certainly, I'll look for council's comments, or if there's Mark or Ian, if you guys want to add anything, we'll go from there.
Councillor. I'll just say, thank you for putting this together, CAO. Reserves, it's gonna be a word you're gonna hear. And it's something I'm gonna watch going forward. You may sit there and say, my reserves have always been good. Well, no, they haven't been. And what's been happening? And I'm picking on, there's 3 different areas. Recreation is one, public works and fire. For example, fire services, we moved ahead an $800,000 fire truck that drained reserves. So that affected everybody. Okay, so that won't happen again. So what will happen is, I hope this council will look forward, maybe in the next month or two, is passing a bylaw that we keep at least 33% reserves. So if the chief wants to buy, I'll use him for an example, wants to buy an $800,000 fire truck, and he's got 800,000 in his reserves. He can't use that full 800. He can only use 2/3 of that. So no matter how good the deal is, and it's the only last one made and all this other, but same thing goes for public works, new grader. Reserves is not your money. You gotta remember, council can move reserves around. And we don't like to as a council, because we know you put planning into it. But when you drain one reserve, the effect it has all the way through. I know Public Works is looking at a bridge. Well, if you don't remember, if that rule, you don't have at least 2/3 to do that in your budget, that bridge is gonna stay up for another year or 2. So, and that's the way we gotta do it going forward. Because as the CAO said, we want to be at at least 35%. You get down to 10-15%, we start getting phone calls from the province. And then they start looking at it. So we don't want that. And, when I came on council, it was 2018. And I'm saying, wow, what did I do? And along with Councillor Bowman and Councillor Henry. But we haven't really spent money crazy, on recreation. We had I think it was, over $2 million for the CCRF or something like that.
1.6.
Yeah, so, but we had to put in a certain amount too. And that's what, maybe we didn't manage that well, but at that time, priority for the township was to build recreation, because that's what the residents wanted. So, with this coming out now with a high tax levy, I'm not sure they know what they want. I don't think it's gonna be recreation anymore. So I think they're gonna know it's gonna be cuts. And anyway, we'll discuss that Friday. But anyway, I just wanted to mention reserves, and I'm glad CAO put it down like that. But that's something that's gonna be on our radar moving forward. So as managers and directors of staff, you've got to plan that way. And if you can't get something this year, no matter how good the deal is, so sad, too bad. We wait till we have the money. Even if it costs more. Because really, it doesn't cost more. So. All right, I said my piece. Anybody else?
Like I said, what we always used to do was go around and say what kind of tax rate that we thought we would kind of like, and then we kind of work towards that.
Those days are gone.
Well, they are and they aren't.
Those days are gone.
They are, I mean, we gotta stay fairly competitive with our neighbors to a certain extent.
Because they're bringing in more revenue. We can argue that on Friday, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, I still think that's the kind of reality of what we live in, and that is, if we, after a 7% tax increase, which is the highest that Augusta's ever had, if we come in with a 13 or 14 or 15%, there'll be a lot bigger uproar. And, you know, if you're looking at, because a lot of the residents are saying, well, yeah, how much money did the township spend on Maynard? And I've heard that in North Augusta, and I said, well, no, it was a grant, yeah, but what was the township share? Well, our share was still 200,000. And that's still a lot of money that a lot of people don't get any use of, so, you know, maybe there's an area we should look at user fees.
And I suggest the counselors, you got the book. You know, the report, read through it carefully. Because, you know, there's not too many places we can get money out of there. So, yeah. Any other comments? I mean, it's a hard situation, like it's. You know, there's only so many places you can start. You start, I hate to say it, you know, you cut services, you cut staff. We don't want to do that. So, where do you start? That's your decision on Friday. But the days of saying, I want to be here and there, even at counties, we said those days are gone. You know, so look at the donations we made with the hospitals, with the seniors' homes, because the government isn't doing it. They're not putting in their good share. So what happens, the municipalities have to, so. Yes, see,
Yeah, and I think, you know, certainly to echo the deputy mayor, the challenge is getting it at that right balance, right? And, you know, you can look at coming in at a 5 or 6% taxing increase. And certainly you can do that, but it's cutting the capital now and paying more later. Because if we don't continue upgrading our roads and bridges and all that stuff, then you fall further behind. So I don't disagree. 11 point or 12 point to, 3.2 is a scary number for sure. But to the mayor's point is if we're not growing and we're not getting the revenue coming in, we need to come up with some other strategy that creates more revenue so that we're not putting a burden on taxes. And that's bringing in industrial, commercial, more housing, which I think we're going to get there. It just might take a few years to get there, right? So, we look at the loan that we have for the land this year. If we can get the land off the books, then you've got some debt that you can reallocate somewhere else, whether it's to a contribution to another reserve. You'll see in the budget, John put $200,000 into a reserve for a future vehicle down the road. Well, we had to cut that because to me, it wasn't a priority at this time based on other things that we saw in the budget, right? So I will say staff have done a great job on bringing you bare minimum budget that just gets them ahead a little bit. We could do a lot more if we had a lot more money, but we don't have it.
Yeah, well, then, our contribution to the 23 million is gonna be pretty high too.
Correct.
3 million?
Exactly right.
so, and if we don't do something this year, it's gonna be far worse next year. So I'd rather face the dragon this year, Next year's election year too. So.
We also remember this year.
Yeah, well, next year is gonna be worse, I can tell you.
But, the one thing I will say is we're not alone when it comes to high tax increases. You can look at Edwardsburg Cardinal, you can look at Prescott, you can look at other municipalities that are coming in at 4 or 5%. They've got avenues that they can draw from to keep their tax rate down. If I look at, again, Aquay, we're talking about a month ago, the mayor about a 15% tax increase. And the reason being is that the reserves were so depleted that they had to start increasing their reserves. The other municipality, which was, what was the one that was 17.8? Tweed. They were 17.8 last year. They're coming in another 15% this year again. And they're a smaller municipality than us. Reason being is that they've fallen so far behind in their reserves and their capital upgrades, it's not going to cost them more for the replacement. So we can let all of our roads go for the next 2, 3 years and reallocate that money somewhere else. The problem is then John's gonna be coming with a big budget, because these roads that might have required, a couple $100,000, and now we're gonna big full rebuild of millions of dollars, right? And then John won't have anything to do either, so. Right, so it's finding that right balance, and, I would never think in my municipal career that I would present council with a budget of 12%. But the reality is that the numbers are there, and as you go through it, you'll see it. There's nowhere else to pull from.
Yeah, but we're not talking 12, we're talking 12 plus the counties,
Correct, exactly
that's
right,
another 5 or 6.
correct.
And you're talking almost 20.
Go through the book, excellent report, so you can find something there, but it's black and white, so anyway, we'll talk Friday. Yeah,
Well, I think we also need to remember, we're also residents that have to pay this tax increase too, so it's not like
Yeah.
it's an easy decision for us either.
no,
And we have the right staff in place, in my opinion, with the report, just what I've looked at so far. That I don't know where you're cutting. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing stuff, but
Like, there's certainly easy cuts if you, if council wanted to, low hanging fruit, which is your contribution to the fire reserve or your contribution to the asset management reserve. But yeah, they're paying me now or paying me later, right? So you can cut it this year and bring it down, but then next year we're gonna look for double. Or if a vehicle or something like that breaks down and we need money right away, that's the whole point of the asset management reserve, is to draw from that. So if we don't have, we keep our tax rates low and we don't increase our reserves, then when there is a disaster, we're gonna need to either borrow, which now you have increased debt payments, or something else. So, it's certainly, I don't welcome being in your position either. It's certainly a tough decision, for sure.
and the investments we made, I think we're good with those. The problem is, we don't get the funds right away.
Yeah.
They're all gonna take some time, so that's the problem with investments, so. But we made actually some pretty good investments. All right, so thank you very much, and the fun day on Friday.
Do you guys want to? Just no finance want to add anything else or no?
We'll get into it on Friday.
I guess go through your material that Sherry did, so well put together, but it's thin. All right. We have any announcements? Yeah,
So we've got, let's see, Shannon reminded me. South Granville Chamber AGM March 3rd at the Johnstown Community Center. It's like 9 to 11 or something like that. It's a weird time. It's not the usual early morning. Mayor breakfast March 28th, the vendor showcase, merchant showcase at the market April 5th.
so. South Granville, did they send out anything to anybody?
I got the email. Did you get the email?
No,
Did we get it? I got it through my email.
no, we didn't get anything.
I just got something asking to donate to the Fort Run.
Yeah, I got that too.
That's all I
There
got.
should be an invite going out to all the dignitaries, I would assume there would be, so
Yeah.
I'll follow up with that one tomorrow.
Okay, all right, thanks. Anything else? No? Okay, any questions on the agenda for the press? We don't have any press. Any questions on the agenda items from the public? Lori, do you have anything?
No.
And next we have is a closed session. So moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, second by Councilor Henry. Be it resolved, this council moved to close meeting at let's say 7. Sorry, that's what I said, 6:50. Because we've got some reading material here for you too. So you can do that when you come to. So I'll call the question, all in favor? Carried. You, and the clerk's gonna hand out the reading material.
take the mic off. There you go. You are a good mayor.
Okay, we're back in, moved by Deputy Mayor Winans and seconded by Councillor Henry, be resolved that closed session is adjourned at 7:58 PM and the council resumed the open meeting to report it. Call question, all in favor? Carried. Yep. Moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans, be resolved the council met in closed session to have an educational or training session. Excuse me, took no action beyond receiving information from staff. Call the question, all in favor? Here. Moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councillor Henry, be resolved the council met in closed session to discuss labor relations or employee negotiations. Council provided instruction to staff. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Deputy Mayor Winans, be resolved that bylaw number 3766-2025 compared to proceedings, Council of the Township of Augusta at its meeting held on February 10, 2025, be read a first time, second time, a third time, and be enacted as read. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Winans, seconded by Councillor Henry, be resolved that this council do now adjourn at say 8:01 PM until February 14, 2025 at 9:30 AM, where the call of mayor subject to need. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. That's it.
Stop.